So, hello everyone. Thank you, SAP Community, for joining our SAP Activate Community Live call on RASD and XM transformation. So, release assessment and scope dependency, plus experience management transformation. We are actually with some of our colleagues here from the SAP Activate team. I'm happy to be joined by all of you. Thank you. And I want to introduce each and every one of you. So Christina Galbraith, our product manager in the SAP Activate team. Then Yannick Toyo-Renaud, global director in the experience management, customer success. And Asha Pillai, Pillai, product owner in RASD. We're also joined by Bob, who's doing the Q&A today for us. With each and every of our SAP community calls, you know how it works. We're here on YouTube streaming live, so the Q&A is also taking place on YouTube. Therefore, you should all be logged in to YouTube, so you can use the chat and address your questions directly to our speakers. Please use the time. I can only emphasize that often here in the call. We have our experts here for the next 60 minutes. So we really value and appreciate questions to them. So we have a lively Q&A after the call. And with that being said, I'll hand over to our very first speaker, who's Asha, to share her screen and get started.
Thank you, Lena. Hi, everyone. I will share my screen. I hope it's visible now. So hello again, everyone. I'm Asha Pillai. I'm the product owner for Release Assessment and Scope Dependency tool. And today in this session, I'm going to give you an overview of what this tool is all about and walk you through a short demo of this tool to show you how this can help the SAP S/4HANA Cloud customers with their upgrade preparation. So what is RASD tool? If I have to describe it as in a single sentence, it would come something like this, that it's a personalized self-learning tool for customers that enable the ease of consumption and adoption of changes with every SAP S/4HANA Cloud delivery. Let me elaborate this using a user story. Meet Alice. Alice is an IT manager at one of SAP's customers. And one of her responsibilities is to ensure the smooth day-to-day operations of their IT systems, which also include SAP S/4HANA Cloud systems. Now, as you all know, SAP S/4HANA Cloud follows a half-yearly release cycle. In addition to this, there are also continuous deliveries, the monthly continuous deliveries. So naturally, when planning for a release or an update, Alice faces certain challenges. Number one is these half-yearly releases have day one impact, which means these releases come with deletions and deprecations. There will be apps, API, CDSUs, etc., that will be getting deleted or deprecated with an upcoming release. So Alice and her team need to know, it's very important for them to know what these changes are, and if there's any action item for her and her team to take care of so that their systems do not break once the upgrade rolls in. This is also important because of the fact that she gets around 2 to 3 weeks before the release to customer, when this information is released to customer, and when the actual upgrade gets into their quality and subsequently the production system. And since they are so focused to mitigate the risk from the deletions and deprecations, many times Alice and her team are unable to leverage the improvements and the innovations which we ship also with these releases as well as updates, which prevents them from taking the full advantage of all the features, all the great features of the product. And these two challenges come from the fact that getting the information, the needed information in an easily consumable and personalized format is not easy for customers such as Alice. What I mean is, generally for an upgrade preparation, Alice or her team would go to What's New Viewer, and then they will do the necessary filtering. Let's say they want to see the information about 2208 release, which was the last major release in August 2202, and then they will do the necessary filtering, and then they will realize that there are around 1,191 entries for this particular release. Now, all of these entries are not relevant for Alice and the customer because it depends on their used scope, what they're actually using, or what they have activated in their system. But that level of filtering is not available on this document, so they will have to at least scan through these thousands of entries to find out which of them are going to impact their system once the upgrade comes in. So this is the challenge that RASD solves for SAP S/4HANA public cloud customers. How does it do it? I will take you through a short demo for that. So what you see on screen right now is the landing page for the RASD tool. Customer needs an S-user ID, a customer S-user ID, to log into the RASD URL. RASD URL is an add-on URL which is available, add-on application which is available free of cost to all the SAP S/4HANA Cloud customers. So customers will log in using their S-user ID to the RASD URL. This is also available on SAP For Me platform as well. The details of the URL as well as the SAP For Me platform path is available in the slide deck, which will be shared with you. So once they log into the RASD tool, they will see only the information that is relevant for their system. So for this demo customer, for example, out of those thousands of entries, this first card is the only one which is going to impact them on day one. These are the deletions and deprecations. That is around 42 entries. So this is the custom made or the tailored information for them. So I will take you through all the features and all the fields of this tool. So we have few filters to filter this information based on what the customer needs. So the first filter is the tenant filter. RASD provides the information or the filtering option for the quality or test tenant and production tenant. So customers can choose for which tenant they want to see this information, this usage information, and filter it accordingly. Region filter will show all the regions where this particular customer operates. So for example, if they want to see the data for, let's say, one of the regions, then they can filter as per their choice. Release filter gives the option of filtering for two releases, the current, the ongoing release, as well as the release prior to the current release, including the monthly continuous delivery. Scope filter by default is used scope. So it shows all these information is based on what the customer has actually been using for a stipulated period of time. And that is a default information. Apart from that, we can also filter based on activated scope and the release detail, which is the overall SAP S/4HANA scope. This card, the first card, as I mentioned, is the day one impact card. The usage-based impact card talks about all the deletions and the deprecation that an upgrade is going to bring. So this tool will also be updated along with What's New Viewer around 3 to 4 weeks before the upgrade actually gets into the system. So customer have so much of time to plan their upgrade. So this contains, on the card, you can see the numbers. And then if you click on this card, it will take you to a detailed view. Here again, you have some filter in addition to the ones that we have already seen. So we have filters for line of business, the categories, the type of object which is getting impacted, app, API, or the CDS view. Then all the scope items which are linked to it. And if there is a preparation required filter, which tells whether this particular line item or the feature is behind a toggle, if any kind of preparation is required or a toggle is needed for that. We also have an additional filter for the 3SL, specifically for the 3SL customers, for content upgrade relevant filter. So any of these line items, if they are also dependent on the upgraded content, if the content also need to be upgraded, which that information can also be filtered out. Going to the content of the table. So the first column is the line of business. This title refers to the What's New Viewer title, which is impacting this customer's systems. And clicking on this link will take you to the What's New Viewer page, where you can find the details of what is going to change and what the customer needs to do. The impacted artifact column is the exact object that is getting impacted. For example, here it is an app which is getting deleted. The app is called application log for change master data. Clicking on that link will take you to the corresponding library for this particular artifact. Like since this is an app, it will be taking you to the Fiori app reference library for the app, and you will find all the details about this app. Had it been an API, it will have taken you to the API hub documentation for the API. Then you can also click on this row to get some more information around the same line item. Like what is the solution area, what is the solution capability, application component, etc. This information which we just saw can also be downloaded into a spreadsheet using this download impact button, and this will be the spreadsheet that you will get as a result. So all the information and some more can be downloaded into spreadsheet. And if, for example, if the customer wants to delegate these tasks or send this information to their team, they can do that. The second card is the usage-based catalog card. This also speaks about day one impact based on the business catalog. So for this customer, none of the business catalogs which they are using are getting affected. So that's why you see 0. And clicking on this will again take you to detail view, since we don't have any data here. But if had there been data, so that you can see 3 different tabs. So the deprecated business catalog will be shown here, deleted on the next tab, and all the renamed app with other information about what the app is renamed to and what is the correct application and what is the corresponding what's new title, everything will be linked here. This third card is the usage-based improvements card. This is not the day one impact. This is any item which is tagged as changed or must know in the what's new viewer. So any improvements or any changes in any of the use scope that the customer has been using will be listed here. And again, it takes you to a detailed view with the same kind of content, which also can be downloaded. Then we have a card for the scope item details. So the customers, whatever the customer is using, all the scope items can be found here. And we also show a small graphics on change versus unchanged of the use scope item for this customer. Then we also have scope items sorted or listed based on the impact, the degree of impact. And clicking on this card will again show you a pop-up wherein you can see the details of all the scope item and the degree of change for that particular scope item, what has changed and how much has changed. And this would help the customer to do their to plan their testing on what has changed the most, and then they can see also what the corresponding linkage to the scope item. And this information can also be downloaded similar to the ones that I've showed you earlier. The new feature card is all the features which are all the line items which are tagged as new. So any new features, any new changes or any new features which added to the scope that the customer has already been using is listed here. And you can see it is categorized based on the type of the object type. So apps, APIs, CDS views, etc. And if, for example, if the customer would like to know that what has changed, let's say, what are the new features in the apps they have already been using, they can click on the corresponding graphics and it will again list the filter, the what's new viewer based on the new features. The upcoming events is just a small calendar which shows you any the dates related to an upcoming release or an update. For example, we have a prelims version of what's new coming up on December 7th for 22.8.3. So that information will be available here. This impacted what's new item card is just a filtered view of all the what's new item, filtered for customers use scope, irrespective of the type, whether it's deleted, deprecated, or the object. Everything in this same card you can find. And the localization feature card will be it will show any of the line items from the what's new viewer which is tagged to a particular localization used by this particular customer. So for example, here the functional localization is tagged to USA, and since this customer is operating in the US region as within from this region filter, it will be shown here. No, these are the default cards. There is one more card available for summary, which you can find from the manage card button. So the summary card will list out the summary of all the changes filtered by the line of business. So let's say a finance expert wants to know what has changed in the area of finance. So they can click on the graphics, and only the changes related to the finance LOB based on the customer's used scope will be listed here. So this was the default used scope. The customer can also filter based on their activated scope and see, and the numbers and the data will change accordingly. So this is a short demo of the RASD tool. It's very simple to use, and only all you need is the user ID, and you can see all the data filtered according to the use scope, and it will present a personalized list of this what's new or what you see. So I will go back to my presentation. So I would like to tell you about some of the roadmaps that we are working on for this tool. So integration with SAP Cloud ALM tool. So SAP Cloud ALM tool is used for application lifecycle management for SAP products. And the idea is to export these line items as tasks to SAP Cloud ALM. So customers can access these line items as tasks and do the delegation or work upon it and do the necessary preparation for their upgrade or release. Support for 3SL, 3 system landscape customers. So right now, as I told you, in RASD, we show the test or quality system and the production system usage data. Going forward, we will also show a development tenant for the 3 system landscape customers, so that they can also see the impact of update and upgrades on their development systems. RASD is right now available only in English. We plan to provide this also in Japanese, Chinese, and German languages shortly. And we also plan to provide an option to the customers to subscribe to email notifications from RASD, so that they will be notified whenever there's an upgrade related or update related information available on the tool. And here is the key takeaways from this session. So RASD simplifies a customer's journey through the SAP S/4HANA Cloud half-yearly upgrades and continuous feature deliveries. It can be accessed via the URL linked there or SAP For Me. So in SAP For Me, you would find it under Portfolio and Products. For SAP S/4HANA Cloud under the Additional Information section. It is not priced. It is available to all the SAP S/4HANA public cloud customers. And it is also available, and it's available to all the customers who have a queue, quality test, and a production system. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. With that, I would hand it over to my next speaker, which is Christina. Thanks everyone for your attention and your time. Thank you.
So hi everyone, thank you very much for being there today. So my name is Yannick Toronto, and I would like to introduce you to a new way to run projects, a way to turn the intangible thinking into data and actionable data, and to make your critical project a success. So for that session, I will walk you through for around like 20 minutes into something that we have branded expense management transformation, and walk you through the methodology. And to do so, I'm gonna share with you the following agenda in order to provide you an overview of what is expense management transformation, what will be the outcome and value for you and your organization as a whole. Also walk you through some use cases to make it more concrete for you, and then move from the theory and the display of use cases into a real life example. So without further ado, I will now move on and share a bit of the context there. So for this exercise, I just would like to put yourself in the shoes of a program manager, change manager, or program director that, you know, when they go through this type of implementation, do their best to make sure that everything is going according to plan. And as we know, sometimes it is not the case, and can face situation where the cost of the project is increasing. We are missing some timelines. where we may face also some turnover in the team, and unfortunately sometimes we can face also some burnout, which nobody wants to. And the solution at the end of it is exactly what end user were thinking. So a bit of disconnection between the ask and the delivery, and which led at the end of the day with a low level of satisfaction or adoption or both from the end users. That's kind of the context that as a project manager, you're kind of aware of. But if we go a bit more further, we see that there is an opportunity, and the opportunity is very simple. When we go with this type of large implementation or large business transformation plan, technology is one thing, but the other part of the success equation, I would say, are the people. People involved into those programs that are spending a lot of time and efforts. And this is something that we try to grab as a project manager at the coffee machine or after meetings, or sometimes ask people that are attending workshops what they think about. But it's very complex for the project manager to get an holistic perspective of what's truly happening on the ground, when you have sometimes between 100 and maybe more people involved into this type of program and business transformation projects. So if we're able to capture this type of feedback, this type of sentiment, so the fears, the ambitions, the uncertainty, all of those kind of elements, and able to turn that into data, we see here a big opportunity. And by capturing so, we can achieve different things, such as potentially reduce delays. As we understand that something is going on, we can take specific measure to avoid any delays and potentially postpone some of the scope just because the team is not ready. At the end of the day, also what we can do is also increase the quality of the delivery. Or at one point, because we are able to achieve that, can kind of predict what's going to be the future total cost of ownership for the solution. And also somehow secure the end user adoption, because we're able to continuously making sure that the initial thinking and vision from end users is actually pretty close to what's going to be delivered. And at the end of it, also being able to have a team that is a bit more efficient, because we bring clarity on both sides, the project work, but also how people are feeling and feeling confident about the project by itself. So the solution that we would like to present to you today is an expense management approach, which is about collecting feedback from all the project participants. And for that, we establish a predefined framework to do so, not only for about collecting feedback, but also analyzing the data and also take the right actions from the different situations that you're able to identify from this collection of feedback. So how this come up with the SAP Activate community and why we are here today. So this is, I would say, the novelty here on top of the overall methodology. From a definition standpoint, I mean, what is expense management transformation and expense management as a whole? I mean, for our perspective, is a lean management practice where continuously you're able to improve the execution of your project, and also you're able to define an optimal program definition, be able to manage risks, but also being able to take critical decisions to improve continuously, as I said, the overall execution of the project. And you can do that at scale by collecting most of all, I would say, stakeholders' perspective all along the execution of the project. And this is where it is important to consider that. So some keywords: lean management, continuous improvements, obviously, and also ability to scale this collection of feedback and move from the coffee machine to something that is a bit more sophisticated, but also way more powerful. So when it comes to Activate, the intent here was really to put around it all this framework about which is expense management transformation, and really collect feedback in a meaningful way based on all the phases of SAP Activate methodology. So here I'm going to display the entire list of moments that we're going to capture and intent, So for example, in prepare, we're going to go through this readiness assessment. Explore, we're going to go with this program goal alignment. Then we're going to assess the solution validation after all the fit to standard workshop that you most probably going to execute. And then, you know, you have this continuous listening process about the overall project performance. And then when it comes the time to test everything, make sure that everybody is ready to go through this UAT phase. And also make sure that everybody is trained properly. And then, you know, when we are getting closer to deployment, we can track the goals, assess the gaps eventually between what was initially thought as a solution and what is actually tested and close to be released. And then, you know, to make sure that also during the run phase, end user are satisfied with the solution, but also that the solution is run properly. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And as you can see here, there is kind of different ways to collect feedback. Either it's going to be a post-in-time type of feedback, and on the other hand, could be a periodic feedback, so where you're going to ask kind of the same type of questions at different phases of the project. So that's the approach here, and this is why we'd like to bring that to you today. And to facilitate the work, to make it easy for you in terms of onboarding on this new methodology, but also in terms of adoption, we put all of that content, it's about a few weeks, in the SAP Activate roadmap viewer, where you can actually discover different type of content, templates, also procedure materials to help you execute the methodology. And this content is now available for the public and private cloud edition of SAP S4R. So I'm just going to make a pause there and hand it over to Christina to help you walk you through the platform directly. Christina, over to you.
Thank you. As Yannick said, experience management transformation is available in both public 2SL and 3SL cloud roadmaps, as well as the private edition. So if you click on any of these roadmaps, XM transformation actually has its own tag. So if you go down to the tags, you can select XM transformation. It will bring all the phases and the deliverables that XM transformation has tasks under. For example, customer team self-enablement. If you expand it, self-enablement on experience management is a task. Clicking it further, it explains the purpose of the task, the procedure, as well as procedure notes, and then it has experience management related accelerators. And that is how you can find experience management transformation in the roadmaps. Back to you, Yannick.
Excellent. Thanks, Christina, to walk us through that content. So I will continue with the presentation then. So as I said, I mean, everything is available for anyone that is today able to access SAP Activate roadmap viewer. There is no cost to it. You can just go there, start socialize yourself with the content, and learn about the methodology and really go through the things. But so now I would like to stress a little bit the why we're doing that and what are currently measuring, you know, for that process. So there is indeed 3 types of metrics that we're gonna assess all along the delivery of your project. The first one is the confidence score, which is about measuring the project participant level of confidence, but also their perception of quality, very important. The second one is the engagement score, which is about making sure that everybody is engaged, still committed to the work, and also that we can able to measure also how the collaboration is going through these projects. And then also ultimately what's something called the USAT, or the user satisfaction score, which is about basically measuring the level of satisfaction, but also the perception of success moving forward. And as you can see here, this is kind of the audience that we're gonna assess all of the scores all along the delivery. And as you can see, there is project participants and users, also the delivery teams. So depending on what do we wish to get and how the framework is set up, you will have also to assess different population during the program. So in a nutshell, what you're going to be able to do is, on one hand, add a new layer of data. So if we go back to initial slides, when we put yourself in a project manager role, is mainly looking at milestone, budget, and progress around the scopes. But if you add on top this additional level of information, then you have a bit more visibility on what's going on. And this is where you can say that you have truly an holistic perspective on how the project is running, and where at the end of the day, as a program manager or as a change manager or communication agents, you will be able to drive the right, I would say, actions to either adjust the delivery, provide more information if it is required, adjust the content of the scope based on the velocity and the commitment, and also the level of engagement and confidence of the team. So that's the storyline. So if you put that into motion, just to make sure that the approach is a bit more clear for you, I would just take an example. So remember, I present to you the different moments that we're going to capture, the different focus area to be triggered for every phases of Activate, and just going to take the example of the UAT, how the team is prepared and ready to go through this set of activities about testing the new solution. So as Christina shared, you have to go through the roadmap viewer, filter on the XM transformation, and go at the phase of realize when you have the UAT, the user acceptance test. And here you will see some information displayed that's going to help you to go to the procedure. So exactly what you need to do. Also look at the survey questions that needs to be asked for this specific use case. And then you will be ready to set up your platforms to trigger the things. So this is a bit of details I just shared, but just to walk you through the way you can navigate the platform too. So at the end of the day, your users or project participants will receive at this point of time specific survey that is really, really, really simple to answer. I mean, it could be eventually answered on your way back home. That's the idea, to not be too much intrusive, to really manage a bit the survey fatigues. And also because we're gonna balance a bit the audience for those feedback collection, we'll try to avoid this survey fatigue and also like the survey pressure. So we consider that also into the framework to have the feeling to not answering survey like every week. Something also to be considered is not something that you can deploy for a project of 3 months. Otherwise, you will have that feeling of being surveyed every week. So we really have to think about potentially project that goes at least from 6 months with an audience of maybe 100 project participants or maybe 50. That could be also an option. But then they will receive this kind of thing. So welcomes, few questions, and that's it. And they can share their feedback if they wish. If there are specific ideas, the platform is there to analyze also this type of data, not only building the scoring, but also looking into the qualitative feedback from the project participants. But this is one thing, to tell the story, then showing you the methodology, also explain to you the content and present to you how to use it. But I would like to share a story from a real life example from a customer engagement we had about 1.5 years ago that was actually in the process to go through the explore phase and deliver a lot of fit gap analysis in the context of S/4HANA implementations. So basically they launched a modernization of their ERP, and they tried to orchestrate that at scale. So there was a lot of stakeholders involved. I mean, about like 150 plus stakeholders in totals, from business leaders to also business process experts. That was also part of those fit to standard workshops. And the leaders on the IT side knew about and was aware of the XM transformation approach and decided to try it, because the fit to standard is the really I would say, most important phase, of your project. This is where you start to design what the solution is going to look like, when you define the scope of work for all the elements and all the business items of the ERP. So we need to make sure that this phase is really well delivered. And so they just said, okay, we're going to try it out for the explore phase. And so they did it. They launched the survey. They were able to capture over the 15 different workshops run over a month. They were able to collect the feedback from all the project participants. And in total, I think we moved up to 500 people that were surveyed during those 15 different workshops. And obviously, the coffee machine doesn't work in this kind of situation to collect feedback, but also, I mean, the scalability is there. So you're able to collect all of this information. And as you can see on the right-hand, top right-hand, there is some workshop that turns very well. I mean, everything around the overall workshop, there was 79% confidence was very good. But, we always say that the devil is into the details. And so a deep dive with a view per, I would say, workshops, they identify that the health and safety fit to standard session did not well. I mean, it didn't really well as expected. And so they were like, we have a problem. I mean, only 33% of the audience, which was maybe about like 50 people, are not that confident that with the fit to standard approach, they can meet their goals. And that was a concern. And so they look into the data, they look into the feedback. So the scoring on one hand, and then the statistics, and then the qualitative feedback, the wordings, and they analyze the things. And so what they have done is basically analyzing all of this information, listed the main issue, and reconnect with our organization to see how we can actually help them to do a better job, for the health and safety workshops. So we provided content to the project team that was also shared with the initial audience. They run an additional fit to standard gap analysis from the content shared. Basically, they redo the work, but in different ways, in a way that was much more focusing on the items that was not very clear for the audience. And they relaunched the survey at the end of the day. And so what we were able to do is to move from a 53% to 80% confidence scoring, which is really good. So this situation is not about like collecting feedback, it's also analyzing the data, but furthermore, and this is the most important, and this is why we connect that to lean management, is to take the right action, do things a bit differently, and reassess the situation. And again, this was done during the explore phase. So as you know, at the end of the day, there is a quality gate. Today, we go to quality gate with, I would say, project data, and all of this level of confidence, engagement, and satisfaction are not captured. Now, with this approach, you're able to have this level of data that's gonna help the program manager, project manager to take the right decision to move ahead with this quality gate and making sure that they can safely move to the next step. And this is really the purpose of it. So now the presentation is done. I really wish that you're gonna visit the platform, that you're gonna be able to socialize yourself with the content, and wish to also that you're gonna use this methodology for your next S/4HANA implementation. Thank you very much. And I hand it over to Bob for the Q&A session.
Thanks, Yannick. Yeah, we have some questions actually that came in before the call. So I'll throw a few of them at you guys. I think most of them have been answered. Excellent presentation by everybody. One of the first questions is, and this is an interesting one, how can I get started with an XM transformation for an implementation project if I'm midway through a project? Is it still a good idea to integrate XM transformation, or do I have to wait for a new project?
It's a very good question.
I think you froze on us, Yannick. Yannick might be frozen. The screen's frozen.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hear you now. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea here is to say, okay, that as the customer as I presented the case of the customer, they didn't start at prepare, they start at explore. and they are the concern. They're concerned about the quality of the workshops, and they would like to make sure that everything will go according to plan. So they ask us to support them to design a specific approach. But I mean, if you browse the content, you will see that there is a specific set of assets and elements that you can use at every phase. So if you want to use this methodology even at the UAT phase, this is totally fine. You will get still information. It's obviously a bit too late somehow because many things will happen before, but at least you have more visibility at this point of time and you're not live yet. Also, I mean, if you're also in the process to do a lift and shift with your ERP system, this is not such a big deal because the true work is going to happen through the business transformation. So my recommendation is maybe to try it out on a less impactful project first, such as a lift and shift, which is going to help the IT organization to adopt the approach and then be ready, to manage perfectly end-to-end this new methodology. That would be my recommendation.
Great, thank you. And the next question that came in, and I think, Asha, this was answered in your presentation. Will RASD be available in 3SL? I think I did see a slide that is one of the coming roadmaps. And then the second part of the question is, when can we expect it? So I think the safe way would be, is that 2022 or is that first half of 2023?
Yes, so as you mentioned, it was at my slide. It will be available by 2302 release, which is by the end of January next year.
Got it. Cool. And one other question came in. Is the content that you shared in the roadmap viewer available to everyone? I can answer that. Yes, absolutely. Public information. And can I use that information without having a Qualtrics license? So maybe
that's a good question. Yeah. At the end of the day, you can use that with every survey platform. But at the end of the day, also, you need to be able to process all of this data, but also be able to list all the actions. So with a true system of action embedded into the platform, which is not the case of every solution. So this is one answer. You can start it, but better to use Qualtrics. Also, something that is going to be available to many customers through RISE. You will be able to get access to this type of environment. And this is also something to consider. We think about it, and this is not for no reason that we promote that today, because we truly believe it's an important thing to consider when you go with this type of transformation journey.
Yes, and I can agree to that. I myself am a Qualtrics expert. I think I got certified in 2019 when Qualtrics came into the SAP organization. And having been a project manager and program manager with SAP for many years, Qualtrics was a blessing, a very powerful platform to really pull out those tidbits of information and intelligence pieces from the project team members on how the project's going, and to kind of keep everything on track. So, for somebody that's been using it for quite a while, in the implementation and deployment of cloud game, extremely powerful. So I would recommend definitely purchasing that license. One last question. Let's see. Are there any best practices when it comes to implementing XM?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would say looking at the type of question we set up into that Activate roadmap viewer is important because it's our predefined and designed in a way that there is no bias embedded into the way we ask questions. So I would recommend to look at it. This is one best practice. But the other best practice is not to have an organization that is focusing only at the score and be super happy about it or disappointed. If you don't take actions, people will stop sharing feedback. This is as simple as that. So if you want to fill the machine and make sure that the flow will still be the same all along the project, you need to A, share the results of this analysis, B, list all the action that you're gonna take and share that. So communication is important, truly important. And then take action and show the results from those actions. So that way everybody starts to understand that, no, this is not an activity to assess my personal performance or group performance. It's about making sure that as a group, we're going to be able to execute project on time and also deliver a successful solution for the end user at the end of the day. So it's, from my perspective, question already defined, scoring is already there. We give example of dashboards, but please do not focus only on the score. Take action. This is for me like super essential, and communicate that to your organization.
Yeah, I agree. Experience management has been a game changer, especially for the journey to the cloud. I think for some companies that have a long way to go, maybe longer than some others, they all kind of, the common denominator, I think, between all of them is the experience management, and to be able to read into that data, to read the experience that the project team and the end users are getting, and then actually do action with that data. So great answer to that question. I don't see anything coming in on the live stream. So if anybody's that's still out there watching, feel free to fire away. I'll hand back to Lena, I think, is the right loop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. And Yannick was unsharing. I was just about to ask to unshare. So everyone is visible now again to the audience. Thank you so much. So a quick round of thank you to everyone. Also to you, Bob, for covering the questions. I found Yannick's last answer to be very nice closing words as well on the emphasis here. And with that, so Christina, Asha, Yannick, thank you for your time and presenting to the SAP community. In case there's any questions coming up after this call, or for anyone who is watching the recording is available under this very same link that you're watching at the moment. And when there is questions, of course, the SAP community is the place to ask the questions. Just tag it with SAP Activate. Our experts here and the SAP Activate team is available and active there regularly and checks on questions that come in. And also I shared everyone's people profile in the YouTube chat. So please follow Yannick, Asha, and Christina to stay up to date with the content that they're posting in the SAP community. With that being said, happy Tuesday and take care, stay safe, and see you soon.
Great job, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.